I'm Daniela. Hello, everybody. I'm Daniela from Merton Employment Team, and I'm just going to be telling you a little bit about our employment service at Merton. And Hannah's going to be joining me with the presentation. I've just got the slides to Hina. I wonder if we can have, yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. So welcome to Merton Employment Team. We're based at the Civic Centre. Actually, can I have next slide to Hina, please? Yeah, so we're a specialist employment team at Merton, and we're supporting individuals who are 18 years plus and have a learning disability, or they can be 19 to 30 years and have a past or current education healthcare plan. So we've got two provisions now in the team. In the past, we've only had the one provision supporting people with learning disabilities, but since August last year, we merged with the pilot scheme that Hannah was running, and we're now providing these two provisions. So we're hoping that we can help more people into work. Can I have the next slide, please, Sahina? So yes, as I was saying, we're based at the Merton Civic Centre in Morden. Most people are aware that we're based there. We're on the third floor, so we get lots of referrals from different places. So some of our referrals will come from the learning disability team at Merton. We'll get referrals from the special education needs team, job centres, various training providers, colleges. Also, we get SLOP referrals as well, so parents and carers can give us a call directly or email us directly, and we can let you know all about the service and see whether it's a good fit for your son or daughter. And we've also can send you a referral form as well. Can I have the next slide, please, Sahina? So Hannah's going to go over a little bit about how we support our job seekers.
So we have reduced the time slightly recently of how long we'd be supporting our residents and job seekers. So we're now offering 12 months support for those people that join us. If, let's say, we do manage to find work for someone right at the end of that cusp of 12 months, we will look to perhaps extend that slightly in order to tailor for their needs to make sure they're settled into work. The same as if they were maybe to start a work placement, a volunteering placement, etc. We would tailor it to what they need. So along the journey, we basically get to know our job seekers and residents. We get to know their skill sets and their plans for paid work. So our remit is for paid work. If perhaps someone is referred to our service that is only looking for volunteering work, we may ask, we can always give you, help and guidance, places to look at, but we really are looking for paid work for people at the moment. We may encompass some work placements and volunteering to begin with, just to ensure that someone's got the right skill sets to do that work, to do the paid work, but that's the kind of remit we're supporting at the moment. So in order to do that, we need to create and update people's CVs, write cover letters, that kind of thing. We've also been known to do some different types of workshops to enhance people's skill sets. We recently did some interview skills training. I think we had quite a good turnout for that, didn't we, Daniela? Quite a lot of people came. And we can also do that with different sort of skill ranges. Now that we are taking people on that don't just have a learning disability, the skill sets do vary between people, so we can accommodate for that as well. So yeah, back to what I was saying, we can also look for some benefits checks and things like that. We do have a lady that we can work with, that we can ask her various benefit questions, which has come in handy over the years. And our team is sort of quite up to date with the DWP and knowing what's going on with benefit systems, so we can always help them out with that if need. Filling job applications is something we're quite big on. We can also look to create our own company Merton accounts for CVs and applications to be filled in on the participants. Sorry, for us to do it for them, to make life easier and to sort of maximise the amount of applications that we get done. Again, as I said earlier, so yeah, we're looking to provide interview skills practice and signpost to further employment training and confidence building. So yeah, we have been known to sort of team up with places like Merton College or RAC, who do particular skill sets or training in certain areas. We've been known to host confidence classes and things like that as well, depending on if people need it or not. Um, so of course, always we will accompany our job seeker to a job interview, if they need it and if required. Some people don't like to do that, but we'd of course make sure they're fully prepared to go to the interview if we weren't required to attend. I suppose that also takes me on to them getting to the job interview as well, and also getting them to work. So we would try to encompass some learning to evolve around some travel training for the participant. We would really ask that people come to us with a basic understanding of how to get from A to B. All our work will be within the local area within Merton anyway, so people won't be travelling a million miles to get to anywhere. Um, but it would be nice if they did have a basic understanding of how to get to places. Um, but we do have a little bit of extra time in order to teach them journeys that they might not be familiar with to help them get to work. Um, so once we find them a job, or once we find them a work placement activity, we would go to see them in that workplace to make sure that they are being supported, and that they're up to date with training, things like that. Usually we would look to do that for about 3 months. That's not constant supervision, by the way. That's us going in on a bi-weekly basis to make sure that all the needs are met, and that the placement's going well. Um, I have been known, I mean, I'm sure the whole team actually has been known to spend time with people at work, to fit them in. We do quite a lot of different, scouting around, to spend time with people in work if they are struggling or if there's any confusion or any training that's needed. Um, so yeah, I suppose that leads me on to talking about reasonable adjustments and things like that. So, if people are struggling in work, and there is a solution for it that would be quite simple or easy to change, we can go in and discuss that with the client. Um, I guess an example of that is, maybe putting in regular work breaks into someone's day, might break the day up slightly, slightly less working hours, different working patterns, that kind of stuff, just to make sure that they can have a sustainable work placement. So that, in a nutshell, is how we support our job seekers. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the types of work placements we use and what and how we help people build their work skills. Um, Hannah just mentioned reasonable adjustments then. So yes, we when we meet someone, we ask them what it is they'd like to do, and we work out how many hours they want to work in the week, and we look at all the preferences that they require, if it's a loud or noisy environment, or they want a quieter environment, and the type of environment they want. So we have various work placement settings. We've got some work placements in cafes. We have some shop work that we use for some of the people that are interested in retail. These are valuable placements. We've got very good relations with our community partners, we call them. We've got a gardening placement, and we have, if someone wants to learn the till, for example, but they've never worked in retail before, we can, get them somewhere where they can actually learn the till as well. Social media work, we've had someone do some social media work experience. He had some skill in that area to start with, but we managed to get him somewhere where he could build up some work skills in social media. Community fridge is one of our brilliant placements. We get a lot of people into the community fridge, so distributing food to the public, but within that setting, they're learning lots of different skills. So they'll be setting up the tables, getting the food from the fridge, and then actually working with the customer and helping to distribute that food and greeting the customers. There's a lot of some service involved in that placement, and then a bit of clearing up afterwards. So it's multitasking, and they're learning lots of new skills, learning to work with different range of people, different ages, and they're a very supportive placement. Some of our employers, so these are some of the employers we've actually got people into work with at the moment. There are others, but these are some I thought I'd mention. So Royal Mail, we've had people distributing mail to working inside the depot actually, and they're actually sorting out the mail. So reading the postcodes, sorting them out into postcode areas, and working in a wider team. Morrison's Boots retail position. Again, you know, if someone's not able to use a till, we can talk to the supermarket about, you know, sort of things that they can do and what they feel comfortable with. But initially, we would go for a job and then see how that person manages and then look at reasonable adjustments. That sometimes comes later once they've settled in to know what they would like to do and what they can do. They find that's often a better solution, and you know they've had a chance to prove themselves a little bit, and then we can start asking for some reasonable adjustments where needed. Merton schools, so we've got some working in a kitchen in the Merton school. She's been a very well supported placement. She loves it there. Been there a couple of years now. Primark, we've got some working in Primark in Kingston. We have had someone working in the Tooting branch as well in the past. Merton Civic Centre, we have a young lady doing some collation of booklets. It's a sort of ad hoc job that she does every couple of weeks. Waitrose again, they're a disability confident employer, one of the leaders, so we took them up on it. So they have been very supportive and made lots of reasonable adjustments for our chap who works there. Character.com is a retail shop in Kingston that opened last year. We got someone into that store. All England Tennis Club, so Wimbledon Tennis Championships has been had some great success over the last couple of years with several of our job seekers getting placements during the 2-week championship, being very well supported, and we also put in place support for people who needed it during that 2 weeks. Chessington Mobile Ventures, Hannah's been working with them very closely, and they've also been brilliant with reasonable adjustments for people. And we've had to work hard to get these types of placements, and sometimes, you know, we can't always get everyone into these places, even though we've already got placements there, but we're always looking for new employers. So if anyone knows of anyone that's really, you know, very receptive and very supportive of people with barriers to work, you know, please do drop us a line. Some of the other work placements we work with the Scope, a lot of the charity shops, Oxfam, Cancer Research, brilliant places to volunteer. You're working with a group of volunteers and you're working together as a team, learning lots of retail skills. Northern Park, as I say, we've worked with them. I don't know if you know Northern Park Potting Shed, so we've worked in the cafe there. And Merton Morton Guild, we've had some involvement with them the last couple of years. So these are the sort of places we've worked with. So we're always looking for new work placements as well. And even if it's a one-off occasion, you know, for a couple of weeks experience, we you know, we always look on the lookout for new placements. But you know, I think it's the cornerstone of, you know, what we're trying to do. So we're trying to get someone into the world of work, someone who perhaps hasn't got a lot of experience. But if they've got determination, motivation, and they want a paid job, then hopefully we are the team to support them. As I say, we do get referrals from other agencies as well, such as Project Search and other supported internships in Sutton. So sometimes they need a little bit of nurturing and a supportive environment, like a supported internship. And then when they come to see us, they're ready to go out and get that job. So that's that page. So if we could move on, please, Tahina. Thank you. So these are our contact details. I will send Tahina our leaflet, our latest leaflet as well, which has also got our contact details on. And I suppose now, if anyone's got any questions, it's probably appropriate to ask. I think you're going to stop recording for this.
Yeah, no problem. So, hi everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Matthew Kay. I run the DFN Project Search at St George's Hospital. And I've been doing that now for 3 years with 3 other colleagues. Can I go to the next slide, please? So, Project Search is partnered with St George's Hospital and also the Cricket Green School. So they are the school I work for. And we provide that intense work experience in St George's Hospital. So they will be part of our team. The young people who have a learning disability and or autism will come with us for a whole academic year from September to July. And basically they will do 3 different rotations across the hospital. But in that time, we also provide support with job applications, CV writing, and a host of other classroom activities, which I'll go into. But we are all about getting our young people work ready. That is our goal, and our goal is to get them into paid work. We are on site every day, Monday to Friday, with our young interns, and we will provide that support in their placements and also in the classroom. Next slide, please. So we are very much so a business-led supported internship. Like I said before, we are partners with St George's Hospital and the Cricket Green School. Our program runs from September to July. And we have 3 job rotations all across the hospital, but we also got external rotations at some nurseries we've got near us. All our managers and mentors in all the departments are across the whole hospital, have worked with our interns for a long time. They know how to identify the skills, they know how to teach our young people new tasks, and they're very, very well equipped to work with us and work with our young people. Next slide, please. So, work rotation at St George's Hospital. We have placements all over the hospital. So, we've got them in catering, portering, many different admin placements. We've also got gardening. We've got a new placement in the blood and transport. So, there's a host of different areas that our interns can work and build up their skills, and not just build up skills, but build up, their confidence, their motivation, and the difference in their well-being and confidence is just incredible. So they can work across a host of different departments. There's no limit on where they can work. We've got them booking and scheduling appointments for patients. We've got many different patient-facing roles. Like I said, we've got a shop. There's a picture there of a couple of our interns serving food in the main cafeteria. And yeah, a host of different placements that our interns will work over the 3 terms, while we also teach them classroom activities. Next slide, please. So just to give you a typical day, interns will come in every day at 9 a.m. And we focus for that first 45 minutes about employability skills. So this can be CV writing, learning how to apply for jobs, but we also look at different things such as workplace behavior, boundaries, what kind of relationships you can have in the workplace. Again, what you were talking about before, being punctual every day, making sure they're in every day on time. We're currently working with the interns at the moment on email writing and how to write a formal email as opposed to an informal email. We've got people coming in from the Cricket Green School soon to do interview skills. And what we'll do is we're going to host an actual interview and record it, and then we're going to talk to the interns about how the interview went and how they can improve on the interview skills. We talk a lot. We do a lot of classroom work on workplace behaviour. Again, what they're allowed to talk about, what's appropriate topics. What is small talk, little things that some of us find just come naturally, but some of our interns they're not sure. They've never been in that office environment. So we will teach them all about those things. And like I said, we help them write their CVs. We help them sign up to things like Indeed, LinkedIn, all those different sites to get jobs. So anything to do with getting a paid job, we'll teach them in the classroom. We have a full curriculum that we have to follow, that we have to teach our interns. So we hope by the end of our at the end of a course with us, they've got all the skills, they've got all the work experience, and we hope that they have a paid job. So after that, 9 till 9:45, at 10, they go into their work rotation. And like I said, that's all different departments all over the hospital. Generally, it starts at 10 till 2:30, but by this time, we're in our second term, it'll become 10 till 3, 10 till 4. We want to help them increase their stamina so they're ready once they get out there to work full time if they need to. And then 2:30 or 3, and sometimes a bit later, we do a debrief. They come back, we have a notebook. They write in how their day was. We get them to write what skills they learnt that day, what tasks they did. So we're able to go back and help them write their CVs if we need to. like I said, some of our interns will do longer hours, some will do short. It's all about that individual and what they feel comfortable with. Next slide, please. So this is my team here. There's me. There's three other ladies in my team. Keely Hastic, who she is predominantly helps with the CV writing, going to job interviews, supporting the interviews. And then I've got Sarah Darby and Nicola Featherstone, who what we call our tutors and job coaches. So they help come up with the curriculum, the content that we're going to teach our interns. And they're also what we call the job coaches that go around to all the placement and making sure that our interns are learning the skills, making sure that they're doing the appropriate tasks and keeping up with all the skills that we want them to learn. So we do a lot of different things. We identify, what barriers is stopping them from learning those skills. And I'll talk a bit more about it, but we help create those reasonable adjustments in the workplace. Um, we focus a lot on learning and improving that readiness for work. It's not just the work experience, it's learning all those host of other skills you need to learn in the workplace. For example, standing by the water cooler and having a conversation. Some of interns don't know what to talk about, so we help them come up with different topics that they can talk about to their colleagues, because it can be quite anxiety driven and stressful if they're not sure what they're allowed to talk about. And we are the point of contact. We're on the hospital every day with our interns, and we're all about job searching, building relationship with businesses, particularly the hospital. And this is why we come to things. I work with Hannah quite a lot and Daniela a lot about looking for jobs and businesses that can help us. So we're all about just supporting those interns in building up their motivation, building up those transferable skills, and hopefully getting them into paid work. Next slide, please. So I brought in the Equality Act because we focus a lot on reasonable adjustments. This is, I think some of us know, it's very hard to get them among employers, even though they are by law should be doing them. And that means adjustments like, instead of having an interview, have a work trial. A lot of our interns, they really struggle with interviews, as a lot of people do, but they can do the job, and we want them to have the work trials to show that they can do the job. Like I think it was said previously, longer hours, shorter hours. Some like to work in the morning, some like to work in the afternoon. So we try to get employers to say, look, can we just adjust these things? Can we do these things? I've had interns who have to have their headphones on because they have sensory issues, and they're fine with that. Most employers can, and it should be as it should be. They'll find that the intern has their headphones on. They still work beautifully. They're wonderful at their job. So all those reasonable adjustments are about removing and reducing those barriers and obstacles that keep getting put up sometimes. Next slide, please. So when we talk about reasonable adjustments, I always focus, it's not about equality, because equality is asking everyone to do the same thing because that's equal. It's about equity, changing different things, changing those adjustments, helping people who need help. I know a lot of businesses, they have KPIs and targets, and they put those same KPIs on everyone. That's not equality. That's not providing a fair workplace. So we talk to a lot of businesses and say, and the top picture is I think is a real great picture. Not everyone can do the same thing. Even though you're asking them to do the exact same thing and you call that equality, it's not fair on everyone. So we focus a lot on what adjustments can we make that everyone has that same kind of benefits and same kind of opportunity to these kind of jobs. Next slide, please. So again, I always I go a lot into reasonable adjustments because I just think they're so important. And our program, for instance, is a reasonable adjustment, having job coaches. We've had in the past to color code things to help interns learn, what to do, what drinks to put out. For example, if they're stocking things. I'm recruiting now for my September cohort, and that's because I spend about 6 months with the interns before they even come on the program, um, to just learn about them. It's a very person-centered approach, our program. We want to learn everything about them, what's good for them. How can we make sure they come in every day? Do they like the longer hours? Do they like the shorter hours? Do they want to be inside, outside? Do they want to be in a busy department or a quieter department? spend months and months just kind of finding out more and more about them, because it's got to work with them as much as it's got to work with us. And we want them to feel comfortable with our program. Because going from no work into one of the biggest hospitals in the country is quite full on, and I can fully understand the anxiety behind that. So we want them to have the most easy transition into the workplace. Next slide, please. So I brought this in just to give you another example. So, and this has happened many times. So Claire, for example, she started a new job as a cleaner, but all the chemicals have complicated names, and Claire has quite a lot of difficulty reading those labels. And sometimes, if that happens, an employer will go, "Well, we can't have you working for us." And if I could go just to the next slide, please. A simple, reasonable adjustment is just making the bottles color coded. It's a very easy, simple solution. It can help our interns, and it doesn't. It's very cost effective and very easy to change for an employer. So these are the adjustments that we talk to businesses, we talk to the hospital to come up with, because I think there's a bit of a stigma on, these adjustments are very costly, and they're really not. They can be quite easy to change, and we speak to a lot of businesses about that. Next slide, please. So again, we know why the workplace may be difficult. Sometimes our interns, this is their first experience. They're not sure what to expect, and then there's that fear. Um, and I think, unfortunately, and I hate to say, employees may think, oh, well, the individual will be slow, but we know even if they go a bit slower, that's fine. We can help build their skills. It might take a little bit longer, but that's okay. We know in some workplaces, and a lot of employees can use a lot of jargon, and we try to tell them, be specific. If you want to tell them to do something, because that can be a bit tricky as well. So. And the workplace environment, it can be busy, it can be stressful, but we help our interns just ease into that thing. We've had interns in the past that hated that busy and stressful environment, and now they're working in the emergency department. So it's just helping them build those skills, building those, almost like building that confidence, building that motivation to get into the workplace. And we've seen it many times, and it works really, really well. Next slide, please. So we know, and I think all of us sitting here, we know all people with a learning disability or autism are able to learn. We know that, and they just learn sometimes a bit differently, and we need to find out more about them and how we can support them. Um, everyone, and not just people with learning disability or autism needs adjustments. Everyone might need an adjustment. And when we say to, one of another example is, for me, for instance, my eyesight's not great. So an adjustment is I wear glasses. They're simple adjustments that we can make, and it can make for everyone. Their diagnosis or condition, it doesn't define them. So we always ask, we always get to know the interns very, very well, and we ask the mentor and managers in every department to get to know them as well. We think that's extremely important every single time. Next slide, please. So we focus heavily on employment, because the research says it's not just a financial gain, it's an improvement in mental and physical health. And it's not just for the intern. I've had departments came, and I've got a quote here: having an intern has such a positive impact on our team. We have become closer as a team, and this is because we wanted to come together to support that particular intern in the placement. So it's not just beneficial for the intern, it's beneficial for the departments, employers. The research says, the increase in confidence, increase in social skills, being part of that team, having that reason to get up every day, being part of the community, that research says that, again, like it helps so much for our young people. It's not just about financial, it's about that well-being, it's about that being part of that community. We want diversity and inclusion in every workplace. We want employers to focus on that diversity and inclusion. And like I said at the bottom, we focus on the ability. We focus on what their strengths are, what they can do, rather than what they can't do. We help what they can't do, and we help improve on the things that they can do. So we always focus on that ability and what their strengths are and what they can do. Next slide, please. So I think you said before, we were saying statistics, they're not great. The proportion of adults with a learning disability in paid employment is 4.8%. It's low. It's very low. Now, this was a year or two ago, but it's around that part as well. So this is why we're here, because it needs to change. There needs to be massive push by the governments, by our programs to really get young people, anyone with a learning disability or autism into work, because they can work. It's about us finding that support and those are reasonable adjustments to get them into work. And that's what we do on our program every single day. We find out what barriers are up, how do we bring them down, and how do we get them into that paid work. Next slide, please. So we look at, again, I work with a lot of businesses, I work with employers, and the big causes are employer attitudes. They don't understand, they've never worked with someone who has a learning disability or autism, and they're very cautious. There's a big fear of people disclosing that disability in their workplace. If you even look at the NHS, which has about 1.5 million employees, only 2% have declared that they have a disability. 2% is very, very low in such a big organisation that should be, and I love the NHS and I'll always support it, but it should be changes in there because there's jobs in there. Another big cause that we see is it is very complex in the application process these days. Back in my day, but I applied for McDonald's at the age of 14. I handed my CV in and I started the next day. Now you have to do about 3 assessments, 4 interviews, an application form, and it really complex. And I find it difficult, and I've done it my whole life. So, again, we talk to businesses, change your application process, change how people apply for jobs, offer those adjustments. Career guidance, it's hard. There's not a lot sometimes. That's why our programs come into the mix, because there needs to be that preparation of world of work. And sometimes it's the family attitude that we work with as well. I think they're nervous to let their young people get into work. And again, I can fully understand that. It can be a bit scary sometimes. So we work very closely with the families, with the parents, with carers of our interns, and how they can help us support us to get their young person into work. We think that's really important. It's got to come from everyone. Next slide, please. So I just want to give you some success stories and end on some really good stories that we've had in the past. If you could just go to the next slide, please. So Harry was on our program 2 years ago, and he started off as a porter in St George's Hospital, and he absolutely loved it. He was pushing patients around in the chairs and the beds and the stretchers all over the hospital. But he said to us, I really want somewhere I'm working in admin. I like the role, but I want something on computers. And so we put him in different computer admin placements. And by the end, medical records, there was a job going, and we went for it. And they said to us, he can have a 2-week work trial, which we said, wonderful, let's do that. And he has just thrived. He has just excelled so well in medical records. And what we love is he came to us and he said, look, I'm finding the 9 till 5 too many hours. I'm tired, but I get home and I have to get back up the next day. So he went to his boss and he said, do you mind if I finish at 4, less pay? And they said, yep, that's fine. And again, helped them keep him in work. He's happy now. He's getting his extra hours at home. It just requires sometimes that little adjustment that we want to do. And so we're really proud of Harry. He's been there now for 2 years, working, almost full time. He's happy. He's now moved out of home. He lives with friends. It's life changing. That's what we want to see. It's absolutely life changing. Next slide, please. So Tomash, again, it was a long time ago, but 2018. He didn't have a lot of maturity, and he had a lot of anxieties about work. He worked with our program, we built up that motivation, we built up that confidence, and he now becomes an outpatients coordinator at St George's Hospital. And he's also won the NHS Hero Award twice in the past 3 years. And he is just thriving. He's working all over the hospital. People love him. They think he's doing a fantastic job. And from someone, like I said, who lacked that maturity and was very, very anxious, going through a year on our program to now doing this in the NHS, it's wonderful to see, and it works. Next slide, please. So Linny, she was a phenomenal intern that we had. very, very shy, didn't want to talk to us, but had the motivation and determination to just smash through our program. We actually were able to get her a job in about 4 months on our program. She barely even started our program, and she was serving food, she was working in the shop, and she just wanted to work. And she was able to get a job in Primark, which we were so proud of her. But unfortunately, Primark decided after about a year, no, we're going to cut her contract, which we were very, very upset with. But she powered on, and now she works about part-time at Marks and Spencer. And again, she just wanted to work. She just wanted to show that she could do the job. She covers everyone else's shifts. She just is a powerhouse. And it just shows, they're able to do it. If someone met Lenny, they would think, oh, she's very quiet, timid, and shy. But if you get to know them and get to understand them and get to learn the barriers, even when I go see her in Marks and Spencer, she won't stop and talk to me because she knows she's got to work. So I've got to follow her around the shop while she's working because she just won't stop working. So, and I love to see that. I think I'm so proud of her. She's done really, really well. Next slide, please. So this is just my last slide. Work provides that sense of purpose. It creates that, that, like I said, that reason to get up every day, being part of that team. It helps them independence, not just financially, but social skills, confidence, um, socialization. We have interns now who have only just started, in the past 3 or 4 months. They go out for Friday night drinks with their departments, and we do teach them, be careful, be safe, don't drink too much. But it's the feeling that they get in going and having drinks on a Friday night with their work is that's more than anything. They just love it. And we say to the departments, thank you, for including them. That just having that routine, I think, as someone said before, get that routine. It's so good for our young people. It's good for anyone. You want to know what you're doing every day. You want to get up every day and go to work and do things like that. Like I said, the confidence. I've seen the difference I see in my interns. I've had parents come see me go, my young boy went and bought his own dinner tonight in Marks and Spencer, and she was just so proud he did it by himself. And that's because he was doing things by himself in the departments, in the hospital. So that's what we do. That's what we want to achieve. We teach all about employability skills. We have a whole year to do this. There was a whole year in work placement across the whole hospital, and there's 4 of us supporting them and guiding them and making sure that they're ready for work. And if they're not ready for work and they don't get a job, I talk to people like Hannah, Daniela about, okay, maybe it's time to work with them. Or if they're in different boroughs, I talk to different councils. Where can they go from here? Because I can't always guarantee work, but I always look for where else they go after a program, because I don't want them to just drop off. I want them to keep that momentum going in getting work. So that is my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. And if anyone has any questions, yeah, go ahead.
There we go. So this is the council's first supported internship, and we launched this September. We have partnered with our adult learning department and Project Search. So we are a Project Search site, and we are a supported internship running to Project Search's model. Next slide, please. So supported internships are aimed at, they're actually aimed at 17 to 24-year-olds, but for this year we were only offering places from 19 to 24 due to the fact that we were using adult learning. They are based for young people with obviously learning disabilities and or autism within EHCP. They're a structured, supported mentorship, supporting interns to gain confidence and independence while contributing meaningful to their host business. Next slide, please. It's a transition program, and it runs the same as a school year. So you get real work-life experience in a host business. But unfortunately, at the moment, these are not paid roles, and we have to make sure the interns and the young people understand that. I've not experienced that over the years I've been working with young people, but this year, 3 of my interns are like, why am I not getting paid? So we have to just make it clear from the beginning that it's not, you're not going to get paid for the year that you're doing your supported internship. It obviously empowers young people, but it creates a more diverse workplace. And I think that goes back to when we're going to host businesses. So I know Matthew's just touched on that point as well. It's about letting the host business know, you know, including everyone in your workforce makes your workforce stronger and better. Interns will learn key skills in work to help them with, you know, being independent and supporting them to move into paid employment, which is the overall goal for any young person that comes on a supported internship. So next slide, please. The DFN project search model is based on the most successful transition to work programme in the UK, and it's noted to be a model of good practice within the National Learning Disabilities Strategy, and making sure that we're preparing young people for adulthood. Next slide. So key details, the internship is a 70% work-based programme, and it's based at Merton Civic Centre for this year. Monday to Friday, the interns come in between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Their placement is between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. They get an hour of employability session each day. The interns have the opportunity to do 3 placements within the council over the year. Now, again, that is the set model that they can have the opportunity to try 3 placements. But actually, I've got 2 interns this year that, due to the fact of what they're interested in, they're doing 22-week placements. So I've got a young lady on IT who's doing 22 weeks, and then I've got a young lady in the Labour Cabinet Office that's doing a 22-week placement. So where we've got a young person that might have a specific interest in a certain subject, so one of them really wants to be a data analyst, then, you know, I will work with the council to see if we can give them a longer period in that department to give them that real work-life experience to put on their CV to open the doors for them further down the line. Next slide, please. Interns will work with different mentors from Merton Council. So they might have 1 mentor that they work with, or they might have 3 from their department. It just depends on how the department's set up and what kinds of tasks and projects that the young person will be working on. The interns will have support with developing a CV, and we will keep adding to this as we go out throughout the year, just making sure that we're adding any new skills that they're learning, or any big jobs that they've undertook within their department that will give them some real evidence to put on their CV to say they're capable to do this role. Interns will gain understanding of job searches, interview practice, and support with actual interviews. So we spend a lot of time from rotation 2 right the way to the end of the programme doing lots of mock interviews. And we do this in all different ways. We will do it with the SI team. We will get people from the council to come in and do interviews. I've partnered up with Hackney Council as well, so I'll interview their interns, and they'll interview some of mine, just so the interns get used to being interviewed by lots of different people. Interns will be in a supported environment where they can learn, develop, and build resilience, ready for the real world of work. Next slide, please. So I've just done a typical day of what the intern would do on a daily day on the internship. So we've got the base room, which will be between 9 and 10, and that's where we do the employability sessions. Between 10 and 12, the intern goes to placement, and then between 12 and 1, they have their lunch. We can move lunch breaks around, but I prefer that they all have the same lunch, because what we find is the interns, most of them will sit together and they build the social skills, because they'll all go and meet for lunch and have a sandwich together, or they'll go and pop out and go to KFC and come back. But again, those little hours that they spend with each other, they're getting to build their social skills. 1 till 3, they'll go back to their placement, and then they come back to the base room between 3 and 3:30. That's where we'll do reflection. So we do this in different ways. Some days we write in our book, other days we'll have conversations. If there's a real life work scenario example happens in the day, so an intern's got constructive feedback, then I'll ask the intern to share that with the rest of the group. So we're really talking about things that are happening throughout the day for each of the young people. I'm just going to go back to the base room, because the base room is open the whole day. So, you know, I've got 3 people with autism at the minute, and they can get overwhelmed at some points during their day. The base room is a safe space. So if they're feeling overwhelmed, they know that they can come back to the base room and they can take 10 to 15 minutes just to calm down, or go on their phone or listen to the music. So that's the safe space. If they do feel anxious, they've got that space to come back to throughout the day. And then at 3:30, the interns go home for the day. So next slide, please. So these are just some of our current departments. As I said at the beginning, we're a brand new project. We only launched in September. The council had not had a supported internship before, so they're going through a massive learning curve as well as our first cohort. So I'm doing a lot of knocking on department doors and saying, can you please take an intern, and explaining all the amazing things that will happen if they do agree to take an intern. So this is only going to expand and keep growing as the project goes and grows. So we've currently got the IT department, we've got learning disabilities, and that's an admin role. We've got the Labour Office, and that young person's doing lots of different projects. We've got the Children's Lifelong Learning and Families floor, and that, again, admin roles, but doing lots of different things within the admin role. Post and print room, so sorting out post and print for all the council departments. And then we've got some other departments coming up, but I can't release them yet because I'm just waiting for them to be confirmed. And I am in meetings with an outside employer just outside of Merton Council. Again, if we secure that, will give us the opportunity to get some more manual roles. So the council will have the offer of admin roles and some more manual roles as well. So we are expanding within our first year, but we will continue to grow, and hopefully my job is knocking on doors to get placements for young people. Next slide, please. So eligibility for our programme, we're the same as Matthew's programme, so there's no English or maths required. We just ask that you're between 18 and 24, you've got a learning disability and or autism, you have an active EHCP, you want to move into paid employment. You can travel independently, although this is on a case-by-case scenario. So if you come to me and your young person's not travel trained, then I can put them over to MenCap and we can do that while they're on the programme. So that's not a definite no. If you can't get the bus by yourself, we're not going to say no. It's just working with the young person to understand whether they're actually ready to undertake the travel training. And then you've not been on a supported internship already. The reason for that is there's the staff that work on the supported internship are actually funded by Access to Work. So if we've got young people that have already attended programmes, they will not be funded to come onto another programme. So I would always ask, have you been on a supported internship before? Next slide, please. So what do we expect from you? And this is from an intern point of view. So we want you to want to get into work. So this is a program where we invest a lot into the young people. So we want you to be at that stage where you'd like to get a job. So that's really important. You will arrive on time each day, and I know a lot of parents have already brought up the points around timekeeping. One thing that I do on the programme is make sure it's super realistic. Although the interns are in a supported environment, I try to make it as realistic as possible. So they are told before they come on the programme, if you're not going to come into work or you're going to be late, I expect you to call me, because you would have to do this if you were actually in a real life job. I've got a young lady at the moment that's really struggling with her timekeeping and her attendance. And just before Christmas, I'd done a meeting of concern with her. And she was like, oh, what's this? And I said, well, this is what would happen if you were in your job now. You would be flagged for someone that's not turning up on time, or not, you've got a lot of time off. So this is what your employer would do. So, in a supportive way, it's not done in a way of, but it's done in a way of, this is what would happen if you were actually in your job right now. Your line manager or HR might call you to talk to you about what's going on with attendance and timekeeping. So we try to make the environment as realistic as possible, also being supportive. You will listen to the supported internship team and your mentors within the council. We're here to help you. So anything that we do with the young people, we say this is for your benefit. It's to make sure that you're moving forward and you're developing on the areas that we need you to develop on. You to be honest with us. So we like the young people, there's an open door. The base room's always open. If you've got a question, it's not a silly question. We want you to come and ask us those questions. If you're feeling anxious or anything, I can have questions around relationships, new boyfriends, girlfriends, TV programs, trains, any questions they can come and ask us. We want them to be honest because we don't want them to feel like they have to keep everything inside and they want to explode. Just come and ask us a question, it's fine. If they're struggling with anything or they're feeling anxious, again, you can come to the base room, you can speak to any of the team, and we've got a safeguarding team within the council as well that all the young people are aware of and can, go and speak to the safeguarding team at any time. Reassure totally you're going to make mistakes and that's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. That's the biggest thing that we talk about. You can go to your department and make a mistake, it's fine. There's not going to be a big backlash of you making a mistake, of you deleting a file or you doing something. It's okay. That's a part of the learning journey, and we talk a lot about making mistakes. We like the interns to enjoy themselves while they're here, although they're learning lots of new skills. I like to hear parents say to me, oh, they were excited to come back on Monday morning because we're not college and we're not school, and I want that excitement for them to be excited to come into work. So we try best to create that culture and to create that environment. And we just ask them to try the best. We just want them to give the best that they can. Next slide, please. So parents and guardians, what do we expect from you? So you're a massive part of the supported internship as well. Even though you're not coming to Merton Council every single day, you play a massive part in your young person's life. So as a parent or a guardian, I want you to understand that, yeah, you're not coming to the internship, but you play a massive, massive part. The biggest part that I find and we struggle with is allowing those independent skills that are built during the day. They need to follow through back to home. So it's really important that when you see your young person coming home and they've maybe, I had a parent a couple of years ago, I had a young man that was in his placement making teas and coffees, but when he come home, mum was like, no, I can't have him making a tea or a coffee. And, I had to have a good few chats with her and say, he's doing it in work. Let him come home, just stand back and let him make the tea and coffee. He's doing it in the placement, so he can definitely do it at home. So it's around allowing those vulnerabilities as a parent to let go a little bit when they do come home, because what we will find is they'll do all these things in the placement. Then when they go home, they go back into the shell, and we don't want that. We want them to come home and show you everything that they're learning on the internship. We have sessions called employment planning meetings, and that's where the young people get to present everything that they're doing within their work placement. And we ask you as parents and guardians to come in and attend these meetings. The young person will do a presentation, and hopefully, not all the time, but most of the time, we can get mentors to come in and sit in those meetings. So you can watch your young person do their presentation, and then you can get to engage with actually who they're working with, teaching these skills on the department. So they're really lovely sessions, and for parents to see what the young person's doing actually in work. I love when I have a parent with their mouth open, like, oh, he's doing this or she's doing this. So they're really powerful sessions, and I do, where possible, want the parent to come in and actually sit in on those sessions. The other thing is there's a lot of paperwork that goes on a supported internship. So I just ask that the parents, if we send paperwork home to be signed, that it is signed and sent back on time, because then that just makes sure that everything's ticking forward on the supported internship. So next slide, please. So there's lots of different pictures going to flash up here. So the supported internship consists of so many things. It's not just about coming in and going to your placement. We do a lot of work around building confidence, building teamwork, getting them to socialise, getting them to do all these other different bits that I could spend the whole day telling you what we do. But I just wanted to put a few images on of a few things that we've done so far. So one of the things I do in Merton is I do Employee of the Month. So each month, one of the interns is nominated as Employee of the Month, and they get a certificate and it goes on our wall, and then they get to take the certificate home. Again, this just is verbal praise, but again, once they go home, I've had parents call me and say, oh, you know, one of them had got Employee of the Month, and he took her out for dinner at the weekend, and she was so excited. Even though it was just a little dinner, it was a reward to say, well done for that month of, you know, getting all your work in, your attitude, just all those fun stuff. We do, as I say, we've done, you can't really see, but there's lots of team building exercises, what we do to teach them skills, but doing it in a fun way. I'm not a teacher. I deliver information to young people in a different way that keeps them engaged. Christmas, we celebrate everything. You know, it was their first Christmas here, so we decorated our little tree in the base room. They got to go on their department Christmas parties. So again, they're really involved in their teams that they're working in. One of the other things that I've set up in the council is career talks, and that is me getting different people within the council to come down, and it's a 30-minute session, and they come down and talk about their career journey, so where they started to where they are now, because I think a lot of young people think they're going to go straight into the job that they want straight away, and I'm trying to make the young people understand that no, you might go A to D to B to C to go back to A. So by us having these little chats, they understand that everyone's career journey is different, and you might go around in a circle or you might go in a square before you get to the actual job that you want. We celebrate birthdays. We make sure if it's your birthday, you get a little bit of cake and a happy birthday. So we really provide that environment of building a team within the internship within our department. I took the interns to a job fair last year just for them to understand what that experience is and what it looks like, and these are things that they can do in the future. I've had some of the interns come along with me, so when I present in some of the schools, I take an intern with me because they're the young person's voice, and it's really important that parents and future interns understand from a young person's point of view, because I can talk about supported internships all day, but you know, sometimes they might be looking at me like I'm an old woman, and it's good to have a young face that's actually got autism or got a learning disability to talk about how they feel on the programme and what they've learned so far. And then the last picture is two of our interns. They presented in the Send Governance Board meeting 2 weeks ago, and they got to give their views on what supported internships are, how they felt when they first joined the council, and what they think the council's doing good and what they can do better. So they're just an overview of all the different things that we would go through on the supported internship. And then next slide. And final slide, because we are a new internship, I'm still working on all the resources to send out and applications, because this is a long process to put them all on the website and things like that. So at the minute, if you want some more information or you'd wish to apply, if you just come directly through to myself, then I can go through, give you some more information, or can go through the onboarding process with you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?